those that got to see Fernando Valenzuela in pitching and having a little bit of that similarity in watching Julio Urias play, and that fire and that energy that he brought to the mound and to the Dodgers to come out on top and winning the World Series, which was a huge contribution for him. And he even made some records being the youngest pitcher in pitching a World Series, and I think was total of 6 games. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's 6 games, 23 innings, 3 earned runs, struck out 29 and only 4 walks. And
yes.
To remind you guys, Julio Urias has one bad eye. Like, now, if this doesn't give hope to all the kids that are like, you know what, I can't pitch, I can't play baseball, I have a bad eye. No, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And that, I feel like, even puts even a better story behind this kid, who is like, to many, they'd be like, you know what, you can't even play. The same thing with Mookie, too. Mookie Betts, the story that even the teams didn't even want him because he was a tiny little kid. And now it's like 2-time World Series champion. Yeah. But yes, even though it was Mookie and it was Julio Urias, I still give it to Roberts for not taking out Urias. That was his best move ever, because I felt it. He had like the Jensen tingling sensation that he's going to come in even though he knows that he's going to mess it up. He loves Kenley Jansen.
I think Dodger Nation would have had a fit if they saw Kenley Jansen come out in Game 6 in the top of the 9th inning. Oh my gosh, people would have just lost their minds if they saw him come out when Urias was pitching so well.
That's how people felt with Blake Snell coming out.
Exactly, totally.
Another great story is Corey Seager. How many injuries has he suffered in his career? Yet he comes back and he gets LCS MVP and World Series MVP, and he plays so well in the series to help the Dodgers win a championship. That's another great story.
Corey Seager was phenomenal. He won World Series MVP. And I just, oh goodness, he's just one to look out for. And the way the Dodgers, played, they came out on top. They have it all. They've come from falling down over and over, being in the World Series 3 times in the last 4 years. Now they finally come out and win. It's like 3rd time's the charm. And they have, like we mentioned earlier, they have the money and they were able to build the team and have the players to, spend that money to have the, Justin Turner, to have Clayton Kershaw. And you can, keep going down that list. Is this now the Dodgers? Is it a dynasty, or is it a dynasty in the making, following behind the New York Yankees, for example?
Hold on. I think there's 2 things there. One, I'll ask you this question. Were the Atlanta Braves a dynasty? They had 1 World Series, and they had like 9 solid years. Does 1 World Series make you a dynasty? And then 2, I'm sorry, I'm not comparing. I know you're a Red Sox fan. I'm not comparing anything to the Yankees. The Yankees are flying 26 of those bad boys. They are historically, consistently great. So I don't think just because you got over the hump once that necessarily makes you a dynasty. If we really want to just be real, the Dodgers as an organization, I believe that's their 7th World Series, 7th or 8th, something like that. And one of them was won in Brooklyn. And they moved to L.A. in, I want to say 62, 63, somewhere in there. And they won one right away when they got there. So in essence, in almost 60 years, they have 6 titles. I think the St. Louis Cardinals have more titles than that in that time span. So I'm not ready to hang that title on them just yet. They had a good year, but they're not mountaintop hangers. They're the Dodgers.
No, I mean, they won 1 year. Are the guys that are on the team going to be remembered? Yes, they're going to be remembered as the guys who fought year after year after year, got cheated on, and fought again and again until they actually won. Yes, I'm going to keep saying it, Paul. I'm going to keep saying about the Astros. That's why you brought me in here, because somebody has to say it. It needed to be said, and that's me saying it. The Astros stole the signs. Roberts, bad decisions. They're not a dynasty, though. I mean, this team will go down as, the one that finally beat, I guess, their drought, both Lakers and Dodgers the same year. Yes, it's going to go down in history, but no, they're not a dynasty. No way.
Now, I'll say if they had won 3 out of the 4 championships that they've been in over the last 4 years, then that's a dynasty. But 1 out of 4, no, that's not a dynasty. It's great. 8 straight NL West championships. Does that consider you a dynasty? No. But again, if they won 3 out of 4 or even 2 out of 4, maybe, but 1 out of 4, no.
Now, if you want an example of a dynasty, this was a dynasty. What the Blackhawks did was a dynasty. Those are two examples that come to my mind right away.
And they just both happen to be from Chicago.
You know what? That was a hell of a coincidence. I didn't even think about
what a coincidence. What a coincidence, Aileen, huh? Yeah.
But you know what? I love Chicago. I'm not gonna hate on that. I love Chicago.
Oh, it's a great city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you in my city. Before you go to my city, you're supposed to call me so I can tell you what's up in some spots. You just pop up in the city, and then I see it all on media. You're supposed to let me know when you come into my city so I can tell you what's up.
You're right. I'm about to go either next month or the one either November, December. But a lot of the places were closed because of COVID, actually.
Yes, and they're about to shut it down again. So get with me before you go into my city, because I still got peeps there.
I do need that tour.
He has a lot of knowledge for sure. Let's go ahead and get into this and talk some Justin Turner and some of that controversy. My gosh, I had, putting a damper on the reigning champs, having their Aileen, coming on top, winning the World Series, out there celebrating, and then you hear Justin Turner has tested positive for COVID. But then you come to hear that it wasn't, only that day, but it was also a day prior. He had also tested positive. He was supposed to be in quarantine. That was ignored. And he was pulled from the game. And then he comes out and celebrates with the team. That was also ignored. He was supposed to be quarantining. Now he's exposed not only his team, he's exposed other players, the Tampa Bay Rays. Now there's an investigation. Now everybody's in self-quarantine. I get it. You may be a free agent. I get it. It's also your World Series. You win, your team wins. You want to be out there and celebrate. But at the same time, is it worth the risk of exposing your teammates, coaches, and anyone else that's out in the field? Ed, I'm going to lead off with you.
I think it was completely selfish of him to do that. MLB has a part to play in this as well. And Joe, I believe that first test that he took on Monday was inconclusive from reports that I had read. So the second test that he took on Tuesday when he had tested positive, like Paul and I talked about on his show, I believe Major League Baseball, we both believe Major League Baseball should have grabbed Justin Turner, threw him in a car, and taken him to a hotel and quarantined him right then and there. That way there was no chance that this situation could have happened, where he would have came back on the field, totally disregarded everything that security and probably everybody at the Dodgers and that organization told him about not coming back out on the field and risking getting everybody else possibly infected. But now it's a possibility that others could be infected. But I mean, goodness, he sat right next to Dave Roberts in the team picture with no mask on. And Dave Roberts had no mask on. How many other players were around him that had no mask on? And he kissed his wife with no mask on. And there were other players that had their families out there, their wives and girlfriends and kids. Clayton Kershaw had his kids out there, for goodness sakes. But now there's a possibility that, who knows, we'll see that what the fallout is from this. And hopefully, my gosh, I hope that nobody, and if people do come positive, it's a small amount. But the fact that he came out there and totally disregarded everything because he knew the situation that he was in physically and that he had tested positive for COVID, I just can't get down with that. Whether you're a free agent or not, yes, it's great that you win your championship, but there's got to be a better way to celebrate this thing and not be so all about you and be so self-centered that you would risk the health of everybody else around you.
We got a World Series super spreader. We got a super spreader over here. We got Justin Turner, no mask on. The World Series trophy had no mask on. You should at least put it. And I mean, come on. He touched it. Everybody touched it. Everybody kissed it. It's a World Series trophy. I've been around it, and I'm telling you, everybody touched. When you win, it goes around. It goes around. Everybody, and there was nobody out there with a little Lysol disinfecting after everybody touched it. No. So it was inconsiderate of him. He was next to Dave Roberts without a mask. He is an ex-cancer patient, so he is more at risk with his, immune system. So that's not really considerate of him too. But I guess they did know in the second inning. So why wait, And also, I mean, if I am Justin Turner. And after, 7, 8 years with the team, finally, you win the World Series because Dave Roberts doesn't make the bad call. Of course, I'm going to go out there. I don't care, COVID, but I would have gone in a bubble. Like, call me Bubble Boy. Wrap me up in a bubble and take me to the World Series trophy. I'm not going to miss the celebration, but I'm not going to be a super spreader either,
If he's going to go out there, at least wear an Andy Reid mask, right? The one that just covers his face like a shield.
At least. But he was around everybody. Everybody touched, everybody came in contact, everybody was exposed.
Make the Dodgers great again. Okay, so first off, you said he kissed his wife without the mask. They ain't all they did without the mask after winning the World Series. Next, though, like you said, Ed, there's two totally different situations. The like you said, Major League Baseball, that's on them for not getting him away from everything. That should have been the first thing they did. Two, yes, it's on him for being selfish. But I'm going to ask everyone here the same question that I posed to you earlier. And it ties back to what you said, Aileen. I'm a free agent. I may not be back with these dudes. I'm going to ask you guys, would you have all had that same discipline to say, you know what? I know I got this double. I'm going to sit right here in this clubhouse away from everybody. Do you think you would have had that discipline to do it? And I say that, I go back to all that, even with baseball players in the steroid age. Dude next to you hit 35 home runs last year, and he got bumped from 1 million to 12 million. Do you have that discipline to say, all right, just rub a little cream right here. Let's see if it sinks in. It's even though I think it was a very selfish thing to do, I have to say to myself, there have been things in my life I've done that are selfish. And I look back as you get older and you're like, dang, that was a little bit selfish. Maybe I would have did that differently. If I was in that situation, my theory is, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just throwing it out there. I've already played. I've already been in the dugout. I've already been on the field. If I had given it to them, they'd have it now. Let me go out here and get my celebration on, because who knows if I'm ever going to do it again, and who knows if I'm ever going to do it again with these guys. If they got it, they got it by now anyway. So I think Major League Baseball could have got rid of all that by removing him and not letting him make the decision. Sometimes you got to be the parent. When you got a kid, sometimes you see stairs, so you go and grab them and make sure they don't go near the stairs, because you don't want them to fall down and say, dang, I should have got them before they did it. And then two, let me tell you something. Security guards don't make that much money for the MLB. They make a nice little salary. If someone looked at me and said, hey, go get that COVID dude off the field, I'm looking at them and I'm going, you go get the COVID dude off the field. I ain't touching. So let's put that in perspective too.
Yeah, and you do bring up a good point, PLR, because and that aspect of, hey, I was already out in the field with my teammates and everything. Okay, at this point, if I already exposed them, then why not? At the same time, though, this is where it comes down to, is if the test wasn't conclusive, you're not, for certain that it was a negative or positive that day before, why continue to go on to play that day, or even better, the following day? Go ahead and put him in quarantine until you can take a second test and be for certain that it's negative or positive. Can't do that. That was not part of the agreement. When they did when the player sat down and they restarted the season, remember, everything is collectively bargained. A false positive or an inconclusive does not rule you out and make you sit down. If they would have grabbed him and tried to sit him down, not only would he have kicked and screamed, the union would have kicked and screamed, because they would have said, that's not what we negotiated. It's like in the NFL, we see coaches on the sideline and we say, wow, their mask isn't on. No one's mask is on. They're already tested. But that was negotiated, so that way they can hit you with that fine. And so that's why they couldn't pull him off the field. That wasn't negotiated. Well, then what could have the Tampa Bay Rays have done about this? If they had found out about it, they couldn't have protested or said, no, we're not playing because we fear for the safety of our players. Well, no, because he never tested positive. If he had tested positive and they said that, that's one thing. But inconclusive, like Joe said, it could have been a positive or a negative. They didn't know. Then the Tampa Bay representative should have made that statement. And this is one of those you won't know until you know. But that's what is collectively agreed on. And that's what everything boils down to. If it's not collectively agreed on,
You can't do it. Now they could say,